Now, if you're headed to Mombasa, keep up with these vibes on 87.9. Right here in Nairobi, it's 94.4, and in Kisumu, it's 102.5. Malindi, 97.7. Guys, I am so excited because I have the one, the only Bhavesh Shah. He is the managing director of Economic Industries. Bhavesh, karibu sana. How are you doing?
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
It's great to be on.
Correct. Good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
So, how was your weekend?
It was a nice weekend. Laid back, met up with a few friends.
Nice.
The wife had gone out with the girls for a girls' weekend. And so it was me and the boys, my
Good
two
stuff.
sons.
Yeah, the boys always are with the dad.
Yeah.
I like that. So for folks who don't know you, maybe you can tell us what you do, and then we can get into the conversation.
So I am managing director for a stationery manufacturing company. Been running it for the last 16 years.
Nice.
And so we've done really well, covered the market. And recently in March, we sold it to a strategic partner.
Awesome.
Yeah.
16 years is a while. You started while you were young, huh?
Yes.
I like that.
Still young.
Yeah, obviously still young. We're always young.
Yeah.
So maybe you can just give us a rundown of your background. Where were you raised? School, that kind of thing.
Yeah. So I'm born in Kenya, raised up in Nairobi, studied at Oshawa, then went on to do my university in UK. Stayed there and worked there for about 10 years, almost a decade, and then decided to move back to this beautiful country.
Yeah, I like that. Kenya's somebody. Most people have a good story to say about Kenya. It's such an awesome space to be in. So, have you got any hobbies, man? What do you like to do in your free time apart from being with the family?
One thing before we get there, right?
Yeah.
Kenya is something that draws back home.
I know, right?
When you're abroad, it doesn't feel like you're home.
Oh, yeah?
And then brought back here. As for hobbies, I love, the outdoors. So as much as when it comes to work and you grind it hard, but on the weekends, sometimes get out of Nairobi, go for some hikes or camping. I love climbing mountains, so I've always got a challenge on that I put out myself for. And right now I'm on track I want to do Mount Meru in Tanzania.
That's impressive.
And and I like my sports, keeping healthy. And also having some fun with friends.
Okay, so now the basis of the conversation this evening is about how to design a successful life.
Sure.
Most guys are going to get into 2026. They're going to write down the resolutions. You're going to do a lifestyle audit about 2025. I feel like it's been very rough for many folks out there, grinding it out. Maybe some had personal issues in their family, maybe their healthcare, maybe their businesses weren't, so good. They say the economy was a bit volatile.
Oh, yeah.
Now, in terms of designing a successful life, in your own perspective, what does a successful life even mean?
It's interesting, right? Before I got on to this podcast, I'm like, the weekend I was sitting with the boys. The two sons then, they're 11 and 12 years old. I'm like, what does success look like, right? And success... when I was a young boy, it was always like, okay, fancy cars, rich, big mansions, bling bling lifestyle, and all that was looking really, really, really. But over the years now, I think it's, the peace and calm of being home, being comfortable.
Yeah.
But also, I think success is something that about, what do you do for someone else?
Oh,
How do you build other people? How do you get other people to grow up? And I'm a big believer of that. It's not yourself that you're only guiding for success. It's the people around you you should also be guiding for success.
I like it. I like how you put it. At some point, you got to give back, isn't it? Yeah. So, in other words, you're also telling us that the definition of success, it always changes depending on whatever stage you are in your life.
Correct.
That's interesting. Now, do you have any specific experiences in your life that shaped you towards leadership? Did you always know you were going to be a leader at some point in your life?
Let me tell you a small story, right? And this is like, my parents, my dad and my uncles, we used to be staying in a joint family. So first thing is, Indians normally in those days, a lot of non-nuclear, but it was a big extended family, and we were having 18 people. So it was adults and kids. Total of us were about 18 people in separate houses, but in the same compound. And one thing is there, you have many dads and many moms, because all your aunts and uncles becomes your parents.
I agree.
And something happens, right? And a lot of molding comes in. You get a lot of different influences coming from different people, different kind of learnings, teachings, and everyone becomes your mom and dad. Then we used to have a business which was wholesaling of textiles and something. It was based in River Road. And I used to go sometimes. So on holidays, I would go there, sometimes just to play around in the backyard. But then you're observing these things, right? And you're observing how business is being done, how prices are set, how suppliers are supplying goods, and how it's being accounted for, and how customers are being treated, and how customers are sold to. And those subtle things, you didn't know that time. It was play.
Correct.
And you were just going there because you'd be bored at sitting at home after being there. So it was good. It was good. Yeah. So some of that things really then hold back to you and go on. And my mom used to work in the UN.
Oh, interesting.
So going there on those environmental days and other days, and when you see that, two different contrasts, right? Shop setting and then structure such as a UN and working there, and then you're getting the experiences of two different ends. And definitely get a lot of different feelings around how to move forward in life.
Yeah, that's interesting. Did you have a mentor when you were young? Because I know you had a lot of influences in your life. Was there a specific person who you isolated and you said, I want to be like mom, or I want to be like dad, or your uncle, or maybe your cousin?
I always used to look up from my maternal side. So my mom's brother. My mom's brother was really successful person, and he used to run and senior accounting firm partner, and I always used to look up to him. Yeah.
That's interesting. What did you like about him?
He had a very good character, right? And he had always had a smile on his face.
Oh, interesting.
Probably I've never seen him not smile or whatever. And then the way he used to carry himself out, and the way he used to interact with us, showing, experiences in life, different experiences in life.
Yeah, I like that. I grew up in Kisumu, and I went to Aga Khan, and I had a lot of Indian friends. So one thing that stood out for me about some of my friends is the parents were very successful, especially in business.
Sure.
And I used to tell my mom, I'm like, Mommy, we need to also start a business, man. Because I'm like, Vikash have a business? And she's like, no, Kevin, I'm a doctor. I cannot just get into business. So I'm going to ask you a nuanced question.
Right.
Why is it that most Indians, not all, of course, but majority, are very good in business or at business? Yeah.
Wow.
What's so different about them?
Maybe it runs in the blood.
Maybe it's the DNA. That's interesting.
No, but I think, most people, especially in the Asian community, tend to go towards business. I think at some point, most people, when in the early days when they came to Kenya, a lot of people did not have education, and they were coming for, hopes from India was at certain parts were going through famine and things like that, and they were seeking for work during the British time here.
Right.
And from that, I think a lot of people got into it.
Yeah.
But our generations have seen, some of our generations have seen our fathers and uncles being in business. So indirectly, you get that influence, as I say, that, when you go to the shop sometimes, or you go to this place sometimes, a subtle hint comes in that what is next for me. Actually, was not in business when I was in UK, and I was working out there. But something felt, something was missing out there, and something drew me back. That to come back to Kenya, and it wasn't to come back to Kenya to work. It was very clear that I wanted to do something,
Right.
It was there, that the urge was there, the fire was there.
Yeah.
Right.
I like how you made it very clear. You're not going to work for somebody.
Yeah.
So I like the intention. Sometimes it's important for you to actually define what you want to do. You need to see yourself doing certain things. And now you're a managing director of a very successful company.
Yeah.
What's the strategy like? What's your game plan? For somebody who's listening to you and they're in corporate Kenya and they see themselves being a managing director, how do you thrive? How do you navigate the corporate space and become a successful MD?
Wow. Business is dog eat dog.
I can imagine. Yeah.
And so it's been a hard journey, right? And sometimes I see is how do you incorporate all this to become success? And it's a day-to-day journey, and there's a lot of lessons to learn in life. Sometimes we say there's a set path, but I always say that, being resilient to overcome the next challenge helps you move that one more step forward. And as it's like walking the upstairs, right? And then you have to understand where you are standing today to be able to take the next step.
I agree.
Sometimes people want to go, it's like a lift, people want to jump from one floor to another.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a right footing, sometimes you fall really hard.
Yeah.
So sometimes slow and steady is the best way forward as well.
Yeah, you got to be patient.
Yeah.
I like how you put it. Sometimes if you don't have the right footing, does the right footing also mean you network?
Across the board. So network, network is people around you, people trust you, people you know.
Yeah.
You may know 100,000 people, but if people don't trust you, don't believe in you, then how good is your network, right?
Yeah.
And it is, to be honest, sometimes it's your word, how you stand out, and how do you also treat people, how do you work with people on a day-to-day basis. Makes a big difference to how people carry out and trust you in business as well.
I've worked in corporate, obviously. This is a corporate space we're in, and people usually struggle to stand out. You don't even know which type of personality to have. Should you be abrasive? Should you be the quiet type? You're just working, hoping that one day they'll notice you. How do promotions work from your perspective as a managing director? What sort of personality and character should you have aside from actually doing a good job?
Yeah. I lead people, and, we always interview people, get new people on, induct people into jobs. And one of the things I've seen is that, people who have been successful within our group and people who have moved up the chain is people who are not satisfied sitting in the same position. So they will come into a position, they will be sitting into a certain chair, but if you're sitting in that certain chair and are satisfied sitting in that chair and doing the work of that chair and not looking forward to where you want to go, because if you want to go forward, you have to look at the work that you want to do tomorrow. And you have to also start visioning it as well as doing some of that work or coming in to help do some of that work. And
even if it means volunteering.
Even if it's volunteering.
Okay.
And that's the part of it. That drive is what people notices about you. That if this person, this guy is capable, I can see that capability. Okay. But if you're sat in that position and only satisfied doing that and not willing to move forward, then it becomes difficult for someone to say, can I move this guy a notch further?
Yeah.
But if people are already seeing you do some things in that line, you'll become natural selection, part of that.
I like that.
Game.
Natural selection. You always stand out.
Yeah.
Amazing. What is the most important habit or patterns Kenyans who are aspiring to be... Okay, I think you've touched on that, but I want to twist it a bit. You want to be a boss, yes.
Okay.
You want to be an MD, of course. But you're working in a very toxic environment. There's too much politics. Some people, apparently they have some sort of favor from the boss. Some people just don't know anyone, but they're very good at what they do. How do you handle all these things? Because I hear people complaining so much about office politics. How do you handle all those things?
I think I'm not a big fan of this toxicity that comes into work, because I try to do is you try to create a neutral environment that works with processes and systems, and you want to try to avoid that toxicity. And I do understand, and I've had a lot of friends who do work in friends, colleagues, and even people that I mentor that have gone through this phase that they work in such a toxic environment, right? And at some point, some people tend to avoid that and move past it. But somewhere where you can't do it, sometimes you have to move gear and shift, unfortunately.
Move companies, yeah?
Because, I mean, sometimes you might be the only person out there and the whole environment is against you. I mean, would you want to, if it's a good analogy here, if a bush was in fire and you're in the middle of it, you'd try to first extinguish the fire, but at some point, if you're not able to extinguish the fire, you'd move out.
I agree. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. Just save yourself, go start afresh somewhere else.
There are opportunities across the world. There's something out there for you. You might find it, and you'll be very happy with it.
It's true. And you know that you made the right decision because you left, because your mental health is also at stake. By the way, you mentioned you like to hike. Yeah, I'm also very athletic. I used to play rugby, but nowadays I still go to the gym. How important is it to maintain a physical health? You know, how to have good physical energy, especially with regards to some of your goals in the corporate space, especially as an MD. Why is it important for you to be, you know, strong and energetic and healthy out there? And, you know,
I always say this. If you are not on your peak performance, how are you going to carry out the day? How will you execute that day the way it should happen? I mean, you can go end up there, and then if you end up sitting in your chair and then slump down and relax for the day, will the business run itself, or will it move it forward, or whatever position are you in? Are you really giving the value that you should, right? I start my day. We pretty much start the day. Me and the wife go for a 5-kilometer walk
every day
in the morning.
Every day.
And that's a must, right?
Every day.
Every day.
Wow.
And if you don't manage to do it in the morning, if you've got something early and whatever, then we'll do it in the evening. And that's one thing that we've kept up. I tend to do, weights or resistance exercise once or twice a week. A bit of meditation practices to keep the mental health going safe. And I do also believe in a bit of reflective work, which is journaling or writing down your thoughts and things like that. There's an interesting program that I attended a while back, which really opens up those skills and those, the inner work that you need to do on yourself. Sometimes I hear that, in Kenya, that especially with Kenyan men, tend to want to be macho, strong. But sometimes I think that comes from doing the work yourself. Once you develop yourself, you can be strong in any situation. You can handle whatever comes to you.
I like how you said the inner work. It's amazing because it reflects on your work. It actually reflects people who do the work. People who do the exercise. The meditation, the journaling. You can just tell, by how they carry themselves out there, and it reflects on their work, isn't it?
Correct.
So is that also a factor when somebody wants to work with you? Do you look out for those things? Maybe how they carry themselves?
Of course, you do. I mean, initially, maybe, sometimes I see that when you do an interview, it's very short. And you have a half an hour break, half an hour slot or 1 hour slot to know a person. How much would you know of a person, really? You get a CV. How big is a CV? You only get to know a person when you work with them. And sometimes people are sure, composed, and are calm and able to handle tough situations, and then you'll see those people who will panic at the smallest fire. They will be up and running and very panicked. And sometimes you just tell someone, just take a minute. It's not going to go down. Take a minute. Take control of yourself. If you take control of yourself, then you'll be able to handle that situation that's coming through you.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
So it is, and then, I work with, as much as we do work and we mentor people at work, you are talking to your friends and you're talking to them. Always I'm advocating for, do the work for yourself. Whatever kind of system you follow, whatever practice you want to do, but do some work for yourself.
Do some work for yourself. I heard somebody say you need to work on yourself. You need to work on yourself more than you work on the job. Do you believe that?
Oh, yes. I think it's part and parcel of that process, right? That if you work for yourself, if you work on yourself, so one thing I'll give you something, Kevin. I'm always learning. I'm in hunger for more knowledge and more learning. I mean, these walks in the morning, either we'll be talking to each other, me and the wife, or we'll be listening to our own podcast or book or something. And something I'm listening to now is called Founders Podcast.
Founders Podcast, okay.
And it's on YouTube and Spotify. Amazing knowledge, because this guy goes through some of the books from history, from Dale Carnegie to Rockefeller,
right.
Even today's Elon Musk's and things like that, and some of the biographies he's going through. And when you hear some of the stories, it's really interesting to see how people used to carry out business or carry themselves in their things, and how people have become successful. And I'm always in search for more knowledge, and it's something that keeps and occupies me, and I like it.
I like that. I like how you're always consuming knowledge and learning from other guys out there. Still on working on yourself, still on the physical part, and the energy and that kind of thing. How has it improved yourself, or how has it changed you as a father and as a husband?
Wow. I used to be very not involved. I used to be very busy with the work itself, and running companies in itself is a big task, right?
I can imagine.
Stress and pressure that you carry on yourself and everything. And then, you're managing more than 200 people, so you're handling this problem, handling that problem, handling someone's issue at this. So then you thought you'd be neglecting the family. But I think we did one course from, I don't know if you heard of Sadhguru.
Yeah.
I did a course called Inner Engineering a while back. Yeah. And there's a meditation practice that comes with it. And it was one of the life-changing things that because that was the first time that I started working on myself. And that was the moving away from the alcohol and all that other partying stuff, and then coming into a form with yoga and things like that. And when you start working on yourself, then you actually see where do you want to prioritize your time, where do you want to spend your time. And you see there's more value in time to be spent with family, with the immediate family, with my parents, with my uncles. And I actually value the conversations that we have now
more than back in the day when you used to drink.
And then you just party, and then it's like, okay, I'm going, guys, I'll be out there. Right?
It's true. I love it. Let's take a short break. Guys, that is Bhavesh Shah. He is the MD of Economic Industries, and we're talking how to design a successful life. Everything is at stake nowadays, especially as we're getting into the new year. Call away. Want to be rich? We're coming back in just a bit. Twendekazi.
Playing the best music for hard-working Kenyans who are getting the job done. Spice up yourself.